Remember I was supposed to fly out to Mexico last week?
Yeah, I remember.
Well, the problem about that is my destination was Culiacan. Welcome to this week's episode of MM Talk. We are your host, Jaime Moreno.
And Eddie Marmolejo.
This week we will discuss the main things that are going on in Latin America. We will discuss Mexico's war with the cartel and what does that mean for the country. We will also look at the many protests that are going on throughout various Latino American countries and what does that mean for us here in the United States. And also, there's news that there's a large voting bloc coming up in 2020 and it happens to be Latino. Will the Latino community be a large, effective voting bloc, or will they still vote the same?
But before we begin with those topics, I want you guys to do the following. Follow us on our social media pages. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's a lot of you that are subscribing and following us on Facebook and Instagram, and we thank you for that. But
Thank you.
Yes, but we also need you to follow us on Instagram and Facebook to spread our weekly snips of our episodes, our posts, so we're growing the community. We are growing. Thanks to you guys, but we also need that following on YouTube, so make sure to hit that subscribe button so you're notified when episodes are up. So, Jaime, so you introduced us to your supposed visit to Culiacan, quote unquote, right?
Yeah. So remember how last week I was supposed to go to that wedding, right? My friend's wedding.
In Sinaloa.
Whatever. Anyways, you can't even make it out. Nah. Anyways. So yeah, I was supposed to go to my friend's wedding in Guasave, Sinaloa. Guasave, Sinaloa is 2 hours north of Culiacan. Okay, so the wedding was in Guasave. I was in a stay in Culiacan. I was in a land in Culiacan. You know, and that was gonna be my trip and just drive to the wedding, the day of the wedding, right? But that all went down south. Right? Yeah. Me and a couple of friends from here were leaving on the same trip and the same flight to Culiacan. And given the events that happened last week, where the cartel took over the airport, shut it down and everything because they captured the son of Chapo, we pretty much had a flight canceled. And fortunately, I thank God that, you know, it was canceled and I wasn't out there during that time, or that event didn't happen the Friday that I arrived, right? Yeah. Which could have been dangerous. It happened Thursday and I was supposed to arrive Friday, but given the chaos over there, the flight was canceled. Luckily, my money was refunded. Even though that's hard to get a refund, especially on airplane tickets. You have to literally die to get a refund. So, right? Yeah. But anyways, so yeah, my flight was canceled. Reports from the ground was like, you know, they're canceling the flights. No one going in Culiacan. No one leaving Culiacan until the son of Chapo is returned, right? And as we heard in the news, you know, what happened is that the military captured the son of Chapo, and they were going to take him out and extradite him to the United States. Because here in the United States, he's already been indicted for drug trafficking. So before they were able to leave the city, the cartel rose up against the military. Literally the military. Usually you see this happen with like federal police, or you see this with, you know, municipalities and state police, right? But they rose up against the military, right? The military is supposed to be like the last guard, the top of the line, the old guard. Yeah, like if you ever seen the Narco series, or you watch any of those Narco movies, right? The military is always like the worst, right? So the military comes in, you're done. Yeah. There's no turning pages. Yeah. But they rose up against the military and they won. The cartel won the release of a Chapo's son. They fought against the military. They beat him in that. They released him, and the war was over, or the battle was over. Yeah. So that happened all Thursday, right? They were shooting it out. I have friends out there in Culiacan. I have friends out there you know, my prayers went out to them. I was communicating with them during the time, you know, stay on top of what's going on, the events and all that stuff. Thank God they're all okay. The wedding, my friend's wedding happened. It went through. Like I said, his wedding was actually 2 hours north of Culiacan. So his wedding was able to go fine. Unfortunately, me and a couple of other friends weren't unable to make it, given that our flight was to Culiacan. We were unable to go. So that's what happened. And that's why it was canceled. So now, what does that mean? So the cartel rose up against the military.
Yeah.
Okay, the military, like the last of the line, like the most toughest security forces in Mexico. Does that mean that Mexico is now a cartel state, or does that mean that they can, or you know what? Forget it. My thing is, why do the cartel have the pantalones to actually go head to toe with the military? That's the interesting part.
In this context, it's Sinaloa. Okay, first of all, Culiacan, capital, right?
No, it's not the capital.
It's like major city.
Capital of the state of Sinaloa. Yes.
Yeah, Culiacan, right?
Culiacan is the capital. Yes.
Right. So first of all, your operation not only is in Sinaloa, which is probably the the cartel stronghold. It's the cartel stronghold, right? And Culiacan is the capital. I compare this to Mogadishu raid in certain aspects. Okay, right? You know where the sun is at, and you know where where he's being at. And you create an operation to go in there, get him out. Problem is, you entered a zone that's really controlled by the cartels. So quick response time, right? Any information leaks, they will know. Quick response time, and that led to the firefight that you had. So you see, what happened was, when you read the articles and everything, they had the operation. It was going to be quick in and out, but there was somehow the cartel, according to reports, the cartel knew what was going to happen hours before the operation took place.
Wait, so the cartel knew this was going to happen?
Yes.
Why did they let it happen?
Well, because, I mean, you're supposed to carry out the operation. Your side does not know that they know, right? Or you never got the intelligence that they are aware that you're coming.
Yeah, but if you have, like, if someone's telling you, hey, we're going to go rob your house, you're most likely going to do something to prevent that.
Yeah, that's what the cartel did. So the cartel...
They captured him, though.
They captured him, right? They captured him, and then they spring the trap, right? Or they didn't get time to mobilize. They didn't have enough time to mobilize. Excuse me.
Doesn't make sense.
No. They didn't have enough time to mobilize until the capture happened. But there was a leak that the military were coming and all that.
So, okay, I guess a better argument would be like they probably knew it was going to happen, but they never thought it was going to be carried out.
Yeah, so...
That could be reasonable.
But when reports are saying there was a leak in the information, and when they captured them, it allowed the quick response of the cartels. Of the cartel, I should say cartels. There's only one.
Yeah, the cartel. Well, I mean... Like you said, Culiacan is a stronghold, right? It's the capital, of the cartel, whatever. Maybe they know more. They know the streets more.
No, exactly. No, that's what I'm saying. That's their backyard. So you're already at a disadvantage. You have to rely on satellite imaging. You have to rely on information on the ground.
But that's the interesting part, because I've been to Culiacan, and when I was out there in Culiacan, there's military and federal police force driving around the streets of Culiacan, okay? And I'm not talking about like one or two separate. We're talking about like a motorcade kind of thing, you know? You have like 3 pickup trucks, 2 cars of, you know, masked soldiers driving around Culiacan, the streets, just roaming around, patrolling and maintaining the security.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
So it's like you don't need to have satellite images or no.
Yeah, but that's under the assumption that's under the assumption that the forces you're using to conduct this raid have been stationed there.
I mean, you would, because there's a military base there.
But that's what I'm saying. But what
even if you're off duty, you'd still be.
No. I don't know where these forces came from. I never got into that where this team was assembled. I don't know if it was assembled in Sinaloa or somewhere else.
Even if it, no, I mean, I would assume, given the way the military districts in Mexico, there's military districts, right? So the military district for Sinaloa, they live and breathe in Sinaloa.
Okay, fair enough.
So for me, it's like the quick response time is because I don't think the military expected them to rise up. Because like I said earlier, the military is like, once the military comes in, hell no, you're done.
No, fair argument. You're done. Well, that's what I'm saying.
If it was the federal police, then yeah, I can see that.
Okay, fair enough. I can see where you're going. But when I'm analyzing this whole thing, right, I mean, you entered a stronghold, right? And like I said, I don't know, you said there's military bases in Sinaloa, right? That's fine. I don't know if they were assembled in Sinaloa. So again, you want a quick in and out, Right?
True. You want quick in and out.
So that's what I'm saying. You're mostly relying on satellite imaging, find the quickest way. So you find alternative routes and all that.
You could do that. Yeah.
I mean, that's how I'm viewing it.
But like,
go ahead.
I don't know. That seems kind of like
too techie.
No, not too techie. That seems like too much. Like an excuse?
Oh, I'm not making excuses. I mean, I'm making excuses. No, you're asking me why were they able to respond and how did it get to this?
No, I think they responded. My thing is that they had the guts to actually face off the military.
No, yeah.
That's something I've never heard of before.
But you also got to understand that gets deeper into how these people are armed, okay? These people buy military-grade weaponry. Mm-hmm. So when you have military-grade weaponry against military-grade weaponry, it's no longer a disadvantage. You're not going with 9mm versus M4s, M16s, or so forth. You're going AK-47s, 50 cal, 50 cal gunmen on a freaking on a truck
on the back of
50 caliber machine guns, 50 caliber sniper rifles against the military, who is also supplied with that. So of course they're gonna feel emboldened to do that. See, I think the answer to your question is why is because these cartels are armed well enough to do so.
So before they weren't armed as well as they are now. So could these weapons be the same weapons that Obama lost?
Here we go. I knew that was coming.
I had to. Obama, what was it called? The Fast and the Furious lost thousands and thousands.
No.
Hundreds?
These I don't think these. If the assault weapons, you could probably make the case, but you can also understand that there's also been cases of corruption by military officers selling weapons.
Oh, yeah.
Or they buy the weapons in the black market and so forth.
I'm not blaming everything on this Obama, obviously.
But I'm saying
that,
to answer your question, why they feel so emboldened to repel the military in Sinaloa is because they have the weapons to do so. As simply as that. Like I said, they knew the ground, it's their backyard, and they have enough armament to say, look, I'm a technical and I have a 50 cal back of a Toyota.
Dude, if you guys see those images from Culiacan, from people recording on the ground, that's some crazy stuff.
There's a video where it's an apartment building. Yeah. I think it's a Toyota. And the guy in the back is on a mounted 50 cal, and he's looking around like he's like a sentry. And I don't know if he fired.
Well, he wasn't looking around. He wasn't even armed. No. He didn't have no breastplate or anything.
Yeah, and then there was another image of a guy with a freaking 50 cal sniper rifle on the ground.
Like 50 cal sniper rifle?
Yeah, it was a big.
Those things are heavy. 50 cal.
No, it was on the ground.
He
was laying on the ground. I didn't see
those images.
Yeah, I was on the ground. I was just poof.
Yeah, because that thing will throw you back.
Yeah, and
you might as well use a tank.
Yeah, I guess armor piercing rounds. I don't know, man. That thing was huge. The capture said 50 cal sniper rifle, but he was on the ground.
Yeah,
he was laying on the ground. And it's just crazy. It doesn't surprise me they have these weapons. Mm-hmm. It doesn't surprise me that this whole thing happened at all. But when you say, well, how? And I'm like...
For me, it's not much how they did it. Mm-hmm. For me, it's why. What emboldened them to rise up against the military.
You have enough...
Like, there's always been warfare in Mexico between federales and the municipal police, right? There's always been a shootout. Either because some federale was corrupt or because, they just had a disagreement and they shoot at each other.
It's like...
But usually, the most feared security force in Mexico is the military.
Yeah, but not
Have you ever gone through a military checkpoint in Mexico?
No, I have not.
There's like bunch of military checkpoints in Mexico, okay? There's various... If you go to Mexico, if you travel through Mexico... you'll see checkpoints, federal checkpoints, you'll see city checkpoints, and military checkpoints.
Right.
Not all of them are set up at the same time, but there's some strategic, established military checkpoints. Mm-hmm. From Tijuana to Ensenada, there's a military checkpoint. Especially if you go through the old route. If you go through the scenic, the new route with the new road, you don't see it as much. But if you go through the old route of Ensenada, you'll see the military checkpoint. So all those who travel to Ensenada will know what I'm talking about. So that's always the biggest fear. Like the cartel has always been afraid of the military because they're not corrupt, they're not easily bendable, they're not easily bought. Supposedly, right? Supposedly.
In theory.
But yet when these guys rose up against the military, that was surprising. Not only to me, but my friends out there in Culiacan, they were like, this never happened before. Like they never did stuff with the military. That's like that's who you want to avoid at all costs.
I think you're surprised because even though it happened under the Calderon administration, you saw military going against the cartel. Mm-hmm. It wasn't as vivid as when you see the images on the ground of San Culiacan. You didn't have the Twitter images. And
True, but
that's one thing. But
they
also,
showed out, but it wasn't like. It was like an offensive operation.
Yeah, it was like
and the cartel was more of a defensive operation.
Yeah, but
offense. It was offense. The military in Calderon, the military was.
Yeah,
the cartel was defense.
And the
cartel was defense. In this scenario, the cartel was offense, attacking them.
Yes. But in defense of getting their guy back.
Yeah, getting their back.
So, but what I'm trying to say, it doesn't surprise me at all, because you have to understand how these cartels get their weapons from. But just because also who was involved. I mean, if you look at the Zetas, back when they were in their glory days and their peak days, who were the Zetas? Former military. Also, does it surprise me that they have military grade weapons? Absolutely not. Does it surprise me that they could get in the black market? Absolutely not. This doesn't surprise me at all. When I was in grad school, I talked about this. I talked about black market weaponry in the cartels and how that allows them to run effective operations, right? Operations that not even the federal police can stop, just either of payoffs or because of how well armored they are, or how their capabilities of obtaining weapons
through the black market, through illegal guns.
So when you say this surprised me, no, I'm not surprised at all. What surprises me is the lack of conviction that the AMLO administration showed in this instance.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, well, yeah,
that doesn't surprise me
because
at all. That's like every day.
I mean, surprise is not. It's like it gave me like the really bro moment, because here he is, right? You gotta understand that Mexico right now is about to surpass last year's record of homicides in Mexico. The rate of they're 29,000. They're about to surpass that this year. But I'm almost like, well, we're gonna
hold on. Just took it off. How many homicides?
29,000.
29,000. And what is the gun laws in Mexico?
What?
What's the gun law in Mexico?
Very strict.
Very strict.
Yeah.
One gun store in the entire country. Really strict background check, like beyond stricter than any other country. And yet they have how many homicides a year?
29,000.
Yeah. So I'm just putting it out there. The stricter the gun laws doesn't necessarily mean there's more safety.
Right.
So anyways, that's our snippet.
So we're already at a state of violence. We're at a state of violence where you're already at a pace to set breaking that record.
Yeah, he came in there trying to clean the country, restore it,
and corruption. Then great goals, but in practice right now they're failing. Prime example: you send your military to capture Chapo's son, right? You want him out of the country to send a message, or basically cooperate with the United States and so forth. Yet your excuse for stopping the operation or freeing El Chapo's son was because you didn't want to create more violence. And I'm like,
well, he didn't want more civilians to die.
Civilians to die.
Because even the people on the ground in Culiacan were saying, yeah, they should have ended it, and I'm glad they did it because more innocent people would die. Yeah,
so but that's what I'm talking about. You're in a state, right, that you have the opportunity, and I get it. This is not.
You're in a position.
You're in a great opportunity. You had the opportunity to extradite this guy. You had the opportunity to capture, take him back to wherever it is, an undisclosed location, and get him out of here. And you back off because you're fear that. I think in the state of Mexico, you have to go beyond that fear. I mean, it's not that I'm saying they're accustomed to it. I'm not saying they should accept it. But look, if you want to end the violence, it may take violent means to end that violence. It may take disregard for the goal of the greater good will come at a price. And I think AMLO right now does not want to accept that price right now.
So you're saying that in order to do what he wants to do, especially with the cartel, in this scenario, what happened last week, if he would have just stuck to his grounds, and just extradite this kid, and then try to handle the situation in Culiacan with the uprising of the cartel, that it's a cost for the greater good of the country.
And I hate saying that
people are gonna die regardless. Yeah. Whether it be militaries, people, or be civilians, because of the crossfires and all that. But the loss of life, it's kind of like the dilemma, right?
Yeah, I know.
The loss of life.
One life is too many.
One life is too many. Too many lives is way too many, obviously.
Yeah.
Right? So the cost of this would have been better off. So if he would have stuck his guns out and fought it out it would have been a better stance on him.
Yeah, because for me, it shows that it turned into a firefight. You know what? It turned into a firefight, but we completed the mission because I'm completing what I set out to do. I mourned the losses, so forth, right? But I'm setting out to what I had to do. And unfortunately, it turned into a firefight that I did not want. It turned into one. I didn't want it. All I wanted was to get this guy out of there. But this is what we're fighting against. I would have had more respect for AMLO. He said, "This is what that's the kind of violence that I want to end," and that's why I stuck to my guns and said, "Get him out of there." And instead, it became, well, we just didn't want civilian casualties.
Yeah, because I don't know how many deaths have been reported as a result of this. But I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
It's like when Churchill bombed Dresden. He's like, well, I want to end this war now. Dang, I mean, it's going to cost a few lives, but I'm going to hit infrastructure. I'm going to hit all that. Fortunately, there were people living there. Firebomb Tokyo, same thing. What I'm trying to say is, if you want to end things quickly in a state of war, because this is what Mexico is. So
let's say. Okay, I know I interrupted you. Yeah. I'm so sorry. Go ahead. Finish the sentence.
All right, in the state of war, you have to probably fight your way through the whole thing, because I believe you could justify it at the end. I'm not saying that loss of life is justifiable, no, but it's what you're trying to do that I can respect more. And by saying you back off, you just didn't do it. Now you wasted time. You wasted soldiers. You wasted time. You wasted resources. And how many people died? 8 people died.
Well, according to this news report, but in Culiacan they don't report all the deaths. That's for sure.
Of course, yeah.
That's always been the
okay on the report.
On the report, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I see what you're saying. The thing is that for me, okay, let's say that they would stick with the cajones, they would extradite it, finish the mission, and there's still a war out, right? Who is to say that the war is not going to end? How long is it going to last?
Oh no, I'm not going with that. See, okay, I'm not saying that this ends the war. I'm not. No,
it's not ending the war. Yeah. No, I'm not saying it's going to end the war.
But
I'm not saying that capturing this guy ends all the cartel war. But what I'm saying is the battles that happen.
Oh no, that's going to continue. But what I'm trying to say is that at least AMLO sends a message that I'm serious about fighting you guys. He's going to keep going.
But that's the thing. See, that's the problem with the cartel. That's the cartel problem. The government says, I'm going to stick my guns, and what does the cartel do?
Fight back.
But how does it fight back?
The military?
No.
Oh, money?
No.
What do you mean?
It starts destroying. It starts killing people. It starts killing families of military people, military personnel,
that's what I'm saying. It's like
or government leaders. So it starts a retaliation against family members, against civilians, against people. So the people suffer at the cost of the cartel because the government makes a stand. And when the government makes a stand, which should make a stand, right? We should be like, dude, we own this, right? In a sense. But the cartel, the way they operate, it's more damaging for the public than it is to the government.
Okay, I see where you're going with that.
So they start taking the public and the civilians as hostages to their massacre, to their killings, to their brutality. Not the government. They're not duking it out with the military. They go out and duke it out with the people, with civilians. And that's the problem. Because the cartel doesn't know how to fight clean.
Oh, yeah. No enemy fights clean.
Obviously, no clean, but like, or maybe warfares aren't like they used to be.
It's because
you know what you mentioned. Now it includes civilians and innocent lives that, I mean, they're gonna die if it's crossfire death. But if they're gonna die because the cartel's gonna go and I'm gonna shoot 10 people in the street right now, then that's a whole different scenario.
But again, I think I see where you're going, and I 100% agree. The civilians. But I'm talking about is AMLO's attempt, right? This is just what AMLO's trying to implement in Mexico. I will fight the cartels. I would all that. I get what you're saying. The retaliation is gonna be nasty.
We agree with that.
I agree. Nasty. But this is the man that's going on national television every morning. I will fight the cartels. I will extradite everybody. I will do this and that. So if you want the people to follow,
so he's backing down his own.
He's backing down and
his own rhetoric.
Yeah, and if the people, how people are supposed to believe that he wants to make change in Mexico? Everything you said is true still so far, but he's backing down. So who wins? Like, oh look, the cartel.
Yeah, the cartel wins.
The cartel wins. So when you tell me like why this is upsetting to me or why is this that, it's because you have a president
all talk
and no action. did little action, but did half action, and
then he's
backs
like,
off.
never mind.
And then he's over there justifying it like, well, you know, it's because we didn't want people to get killed. The things that Jaime said are 100% correct and fine. But I'm talking, dude, you're not backing what you're saying, and not because you're backing what you're saying. Not only does it make you look bad, you gave a double victory to the cartel.
I get you now. I understand your point.
You see what
too.
I'm doing?
Because you're saying this little scenario was an 8-hour battle.
Yeah.
A couple of hours and it was done.
Yeah.
If they would have still held him and extradited him and waited it out until these little cartel kids got tired, all right? So let's say they would have held it out. Mm-hmm. They would have held the kid. They would have held Guzman Jr. What I'm gonna call him, whatever his name is, Chapo's son.
Yeah, Ivan, yeah.
They would have held Chapo's son. Let's say for 3 days, 4 days, right? Just to see what the cartel's gonna do. You know. Maybe then and there we would have been okay. It's been 3 days and this thing isn't over and there's a lot of bloodshed. We will release him.
No, but even that's
weird. But I think that's a stronger case than a 3-hour battle.
8-hour battle.
An 8-hour battle. You know what I'm saying? Like a little 8-hour battle. Cars are lit up. Everyone. The images show everyone just literally hid.
Right.
Everyone just hid.
And
they were locked up in stores. I knew people who were out there in Culiacan who were in stores. Okay, they were locked up in stores, in the restroom, away from the windows.
The images, people were locked up in gas stations.
Behind Oxos. I mean, they were just hidden. Right? Hidden. So for me, it's like. For me, is that he should have waited it out a little longer.
I don't honestly.
Before releasing.
For me is I get what you're saying, dude.
Because then again, you can justify, hey. We tried to calm down. We tried to defeat them. We did everything we could to stop the cartel, but it lasted 3 days, 4 days, a day or two, at least 2 days, let's say.
Yeah.
And it still isn't over. We're going to release him to avoid more bloodshed. But the bloodshed that actually happened from reports and from ground, it's mostly just military and security forces.
Yeah.
It wasn't even civilians.
No, yeah, because like you said, the guy wasn't out of there, and there was still. It's not the aftermath. You're still just doing it with the battle as is going on.
As it going on, yeah.
Yeah, but what you're saying is like no. For me, it's like if you're going in there and that's your goal, you stick to your goal. You deal with the consequences later. Unfortunately, right? You're gonna have to deal with that.
That's terrible.
It's a terrible thing to say, and I know because how that culture is down there in Mexico between the cartels and the federal government and how they react with one another.
I said earlier, the response.
Yeah, but you had to. Your message is about ending violence and all that, and this does not send that message. This sends, well, we're gonna try, and if we fail, well, sorry. that's what it is.
That's our opinion on the cartel thing. I think this is gonna go on forever, but we will leave it at that. It's an ongoing. I mean, this cartel problem is going on for more than 20 years.
Right.
We're talking about years and years. This is already infused in the society, infused in the way of life. You know. And it's terrible out there. I mean, I'm not saying the cartels is living a regime out there, but in scenarios like this, it's kind of sad, you know. People rather just keep the peace than duking it out in the streets between military forces and cartel, right? But let us know what you think. Give us your opinions. Give us your feedback. Is there anything we misspoke of or misinformed you about? Or if you agree with us, let us know below. I know this is a discussion that could last for hours, but we will just end it here. We believe that what happened in Mexico, our condolences and our prayers go out to the families who are affected, to the people out there. May their peace be restored. May they be able to, you know, right now they're back to normal, right? They're back to normal. I think right, back to normal. You know, life's going back to normal. I think Friday, businesses and schools were closed on Friday, the day after this whole incident. So prayers out there for the people in Culiacan. Stay strong. We're with you. We want to help finish this problem as well as anybody in Mexico, but it's complicated. So our next topic is the protest in Latin America. So Eddie, you were looking at this. I wasn't able to look at the news and what's going on in Latin America. I was focused on other things at work, and so there's a lot of protests in Latin America. And as you tell me, it's all because of the cost of living.
No, so it's more energy. It's not really. Yeah, it's cost of living. But and expenses towards public transportation or basically gas. In Ecuador, for example, there was protests all last week. They finally reached a settlement where they said they were going to end subsidies on gas. But you guys, the whole thing is, it's like what was happening in France. The government was raising gas prices too high. People couldn't go to work and so forth. They couldn't even afford public transportation.
The French revolt, French protest was the yellow vest, right?
The yellow vest, yeah.
The one they're trying to say that, the news didn't really cover here in the United States.
So So that's kind of what you had over there in Chile, and in Ecuador, excuse me. In Chile was more public transportation and the raising cost of that. But I'm looking at this, right, and I'm like, they said that they rose the gas prices from $1 and change to $2.16.
That's still cheaper than here.
The $1 raise in Ecuador cost everything that I saw over the weekend. A $1 raise. Now you're gonna say, wait, it's only $1. Well, when you look at their living expenses down there, it is estimated that it accounts for about a fourth to a fifth of their a monthly income.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. So you understand that these people are fighting for jobs. They don't have the access to jobs like we do here. They don't have access to many of the subsidies or sources that we can have, the whatever, social networks and so forth. So they protested, and they protested because Ecuador did not have enough to keep subsidizing. It didn't have economic support to keep subsidizing its energy industry. It had to get a loan from the IMF. The IMF was like, yeah, well, if this is for your gasoline subsidies, you're gonna have to raise up the gases so you can guarantee payback. And the president did, and that caused the protest. Okay, so
wait, they increased the price of gas, the taxes,
just to pay back the IMF
because they need a loan.
They need a loan, yeah.
The loan is needed to pay for their own gas.
Yeah, to subsidize their own gas.
They need a loan to subsidize their own gas.
Their economy right now does not allow them to keep subsidizing their own gas. Because you also got to understand that a lot of things in Ecuador and Chile, there's a lot of import. There's not a lot of
exportation.
Exportation in within the country. They import a lot of their energy, so it's already costing them a lot. And then you try to subsidize to make it cheap. That's costing them a lot. They run out of the ability to pay for it, and the first thing they tell them to get a loan is say, well, you have to raise taxes so you pay us back. So it's all bad, todo malo, for all you people over there. And
subsidies.
So, like I said, it's $1 raise, and I'm like, here we are in California, and we're paying almost $5 a gallon, and we're not even hitting the streets. It's crazy.
That's a large portion of our own income too.
Yeah.
Expensive.
Yeah, like in Chile, for example, they said it was 20%, and the minimum and the monthly average income is $800 a month. That's the average monthly income for somebody in Chile.
$800 a month.
$800 a month. And then you take a fourth of that, you're looking at $40 a month and all that. But that's, like I said, when you look at the living styles over there than it is here, you're looking at that. Those $800 is barely enough.
Yeah, it's like right here in California, right?
Yeah, it's really enough to get through.
I mean, we make a certain amount of money, right? The average cost here, and then you commute. Everyone drives their own car. You're paying $5 a gallon.
Yeah.
A week.
Mm-hmm.
Right, for your gas transportation, that's gonna eat good. That's eating a good chunk of our salary here in California. I mean, I can only imagine how much of a chunk of the salary it's eating up.
It is. That's what I'm saying. But it's like it's just crazy how you have people in El Salvador and Chile who need public transportation, who need cheap gas to get to their job, and here we are in America, in California, with all these taxes on refined gas, almost $5 a gallon, and we're sitting.
And then we vote for the gas tax.
And we're just sitting back here, and we're like, oh well, Gavin Newsom wants to find out why gas is so expensive. All that.
Oh yeah,
let's vote against Prop 6. The way to make gas cheaper. Oh yeah, well we gotta end. We gotta tax emission costs so our air is clean.
But how much of it is costing us? The high gas prices here in California is it's eating a big chunk of our income.
And as I'm saying, I'm looking at Chile, and I'm looking at, you gotta say 50 buses were burned down in Chile over the weekend.
That's a lot.
Let me tell you how bad it got in Chile. That for the first time since the 1990s, after the Pinochet era, they sent the military into the capital and suspended right of assembly for 15 days. You can't assemble.
Really?
Yeah, they suspended. I was reading the article. They suspended freedom of assembly for 15 days just because they rose fares on public transportation 16 cents. 16 cents.
Jeez, that's a lot in Ecuador.
No, that's Chile.
Chile, sorry.
And here we are sitting almost to $5 a gallon. Oh yeah, what's on Jeopardy tonight?
No, we complain about the gas price, but we don't do nothing about it. And there's
that we, man. I voted.
We voted against raising taxes, especially on gas tax, right? But the average California voter is probably complaining that they're paying a lot, because I've been pumping gas and I see people like, "Dang, it's expensive," or like, like,
this guy was like, "Hey, we should go to the Costco."
Yeah,
pump. I'm like, sir.
Seriously, and I got people who go there. Even at Costco in Sam's, it's expensive. Maybe not as expensive as Chevron over here.
Hey! I gotta get my premium, man.
Chevron over here. With Supreme Tech, no sé qué tanto. It's all just overpriced gas.
I need my 91, man.
I mean, I put 91 on my car too, but still, it still takes up a lot of chunk. I mean, you're filling up. We're filling up what, $60 a week?
It's more than that for me, sir.
65, 70.
Yeah,
let's say 65, 70,
72.
$70 because you have a bigger engine than me.
Yeah.
But between $65 and $70 on premium just to fill up our tanks a week.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just to make it the numbers easy. Let's say we fill up in $60, right?
Yeah.
A week. How much are we looking at in just gas a month?
So $60, $120, $240
a month.
A month.
And that's just go back and forth to work. That's not even like going out and about doing other things, right? You're talking about just working back, right? Mm-hmm. Now that you're probably looking at about $250, $260, maybe $300, depending if you have a long trip that week or you had to do something else, run some errands.
$350 for me because I gotta go to San Diego like every other Sunday.
Oh, there you go, because you got that game, right?
I got that game.
So that's a big chunk. If you're making minimum wage, that's a big chunk of your salary.
Yeah,
that's a big chunk of your salary. So what we're trying to say, what Eddie's trying to communicate here is that in those countries where the cost of living is cheaper than here in the United States, but it's still a big chunk of their salary or a big chunk of their income or what they make, they're willing to go out there and protest against it. They're willing to go out there and say, you know what, this is enough. Stop raising taxes. Stop raising taxes. But here in California, we're just letting it happen. We're taking it. Yeah. We're taking it without complaint. Not only are we taking it, we voted for it. We're like, yeah, we need to fix the roads. We need to fix the roads.
And I'm like, the roads are still fixed.
For me, honestly,
we gotta make that bullet train.
By the time we fix all the roads in California, it's going to be way, way many years later, and it's going to take trillions of dollars to get it done. So this gas tax is ever going to go. And given the way the Democrats here in California like to spend money and allocate money and move money around, they're going to start allocating those money out of the taxes, the roads, into other programs,
right.
Like free Medicare for, people.
Free Medicare for illegals.
For undocumented workers, like free schooling for undocumented workers, like free everything for undocumented workers. But yet they're not willing to help the homeless or help, citizens who want the health care or want the coverages and so on and so forth. So what makes them different from us?
I just think they understand what they're going through and they understand the hardships. They understand because, like I said, they're already paying so much into just and being able to go to work or be able to travel,
go to school, take your kids to school.
That I guess because we have more options here, maybe it's like, oh yeah, well there's Shell and then there's Arco and then there's this and there's who has it cheaper.
But it's still expensive.
No, I get
California has the most expensive gas in the entire country.
Yeah, but it's options. I think what I'm trying to say is there's options here, even though they're expensive as heck. Even though maybe it's like $3.99 here and it's $4.07 over there. You see what I'm saying? You're still thinking some areas it's cheap where it's over there. It's a fixed rate.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Even though it's expensive here. But it was like, oh no, but it's cheaper over there.
By 2 cents.
By 2 cents. It's like, well,
by 5 cents.
It's cheaper. And I just saved like $10. Like I'm just gonna go over there. And I'm like, dude, that's not the point. The point is, people who are struggling to get through. And then we hear people here in California saying, "We're struggling to get here through. I can't even pay rent." Like,
could it be that here where we're more prideful?
No.
That here in America where we don't want to admit that we struggle financially. Because that's a taboo in a way, or like a embarrassing kind of thing to say that you're financially struggling, because everyone here in the United States.
Because if it were, then Democrat, you wouldn't have Bernie Sanders saying that. Well, in America, you need to raise $15 an hour because America.
Yeah, but Bernie Sanders has been saying that for years.
That's what I'm saying.
That's been saying for years. But that's not the point. The point is that people agree. Yeah, but we want more money, but no one's willing to. Who doesn't want more money? I want more money. Who doesn't want a raise? Everyone wants a raise. Everyone wants to get more money.
Okay.
That's a given. Bernie Sanders is giving. It's speaking on a given that everyone wants more money. Yes. Who doesn't want more money? Billionaires want more money, and they got billions. Okay. What I'm trying to say is that the reason we're not against it or protesting or speaking out against these taxes is because we don't want to admit that, hey,
we have a problem.
We have a financial problem. We're struggling to make ends meet. We're not willing to admit.
I don't know if I can make
that's a struggle.
I don't know because I don't know if I can make that argument just because everybody makes that argument publicly.
How does it make it?
I mean, just within us, like within us, it was like, yeah, dude, I'm struggling. Like,
but that's the conversation with you.
That's what I'm saying.
But like. You don't go to a perfect stranger and be like, oh, I'm struggling financially.
No, I know you don't do.
You know, hey, this is costing me money.
But that's what I'm saying. But you see,
a person who's struggling to, you know, today I put someone put just $5 on their thing. That's $5. That's all they could do on their tank.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like,
$5.
That's nothing. That's like one tank. That's 1 gallon.
It's half a gallon now.
Not even. You know, it's like
half a gallon now.
Okay. In order for someone to put $5, I mean, it's like you're struggling.
Yeah.
You're struggling, right? So I don't know. For me, it's just maybe we don't want to admit that we struggle financially, or maybe we're not that we're broke, but that we're not willing to say that, hey, I don't make enough to be able to support this, or to be able to incur this cost. Therefore, I'm going to protest. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I think. Because people are willing to go out there and protest for women's rights, protest for LGBTQ, protest for equality, go and protest for Women's Day and go and march and protest and protest for immigration and protest against ICE. They're willing to do all that. But they're not willing to say, you know what, we're protesting the excessive taxes that we're getting that is making the middle class struggle. So what's the difference between that? Like,
I honestly, I just think that, I think by having, like I said, for me it's options. Even though they're expensive still, it's having options versus not having options down there.
Well, I get it. But the thing is, even if let's say they did have options, don't you think that would still risen up?
Down there?
I think they would. Because taxes is across the board. The cost of petroleum per gas station is.
Or we can argue that we're just used to it now, dude. We're used to it now.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
I'm not.
Guys, let us know.
No. I'm saying that we as California residents, it's like, what the heck? It's like, what
Dude,
the heck?
We're in the news. In California is the poorest state in the nation.
No, according to Gavin.
Sorry.
Uncle Gavin says we have a state surplus. You're full crap.
Yeah. Okay. We're in the news already as California being the most poorest state with the largest number of poverty in California.
Yeah.
The biggest economy in the country, quote unquote, has also the biggest poverty numbers. We beat Louisiana, Mississippi. For goodness sake, we beat Mississippi. Okay,
I got you.
Whose minimum wage is like $5. Okay,
I got you.
All right, here in California, we're raising the wage, so it's like.
I honestly, I don't get it. It's because I'm frustrated with this, and I'm frustrated when I see people down there like who live worse than we do.
Mm-hmm. Go out there and protest. Yes.
Like, I get it, it turned violent, but they're raising a voice, and I don't understand.
They're being heard.
And
instead of some pundits on TV telling you what you think.
And then, but over here in California, it's like, well, I gotta be at work at 9. You know, Gavin's like, why are gas prices so high?
I don't know. I'm gonna find out where the gun prices come from. Anyway, they're so expensive.
What do you guys think, though?
I'm gonna bring her to justice. Sorry,
but tell us why, guys. Tell us, like, why do we accept almost $5 a gallon here?
That's eating up a large chunk of our income.
But in other countries,
and we don't do nothing about it.
And in other countries, they're burning. I'm not saying go out there and burn buses.
Tampoco.
But raise your voice.
Te crece.
But raise your voice, and it's
instead of protesting over women's right. Women are marching for equal pay. Okay, I get that, but like if women, that's a whole different argument. I don't want to go down that tunnel. But pretty much what I'm saying is. We protest for other things that we are doing way much more and way better than a large percentage of the countries around the world, right? But when it comes to surviving and feeding our families and be able to be economically stable and be economically free, debt-free to be specific, we don't do nothing about it. We just take it.
Yeah, so leave your comments below. What do you guys think? Like, what should we do as Californians? What should we do as even though as Americans, for all of you viewers that don't reside in the state of California, what do you suggest that we Californians do to combat this? All that are paying $2 a gallon, and over here we're paying
my friends in Arizona are making $2.30. Like $2.30.
But anyways, let's end it there.
So comment below, let us know what you think. Now to close it up, we also want to discuss the Democratic platform and the Republican platform for the 2020 election. Mm-hmm. So as I was saying earlier, the Latino community is now the largest largest voting block in the country.
32 million.
Okay, so I don't know. The numbers kind of seem sketchy for me. I don't know if they mean in population size. Actually, they mean in voters, right? Voters, because so, not all Latinos can vote.
So according,
so it's kind of like.
Was it the census? I saw the Pew Research or the census, and excuse me for not knowing exactly which one, but they said that 32 million Latinos will be eligible to vote in 2020.
32 million?
32 million.
Okay, so eligible to vote. That means they're like high school.
They're eligible.
Or they became citizens.
Or they turned 18 and so forth.
Unless you're in San Francisco and you're undocumented, you can vote for your city council. I mean, your school board.
Yeah, well, that's another issue. But
God,
32 million Latinos will be eligible to vote.
And in Mexico, I gotta show a voter ID every time I go. Anyways, that's a whole different note. So, as Eddie was saying, 32 million Latinos will be eligible to vote in 2020. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's one of the largest voting bloc now. Mm-hmm. So everyone's trying to pander to them. Mm-hmm. Pretty much, Republicans and Democrats alike are trying to reach out to the Latino vote. Right? Mm-hmm. I'm in the stance that the Latinos will vote the same way they've always voted before. Large voter turnout, big potential number, large number of them can go out and vote, but a low turnout, meaning that they're there, but they're not motivated to go out and vote.
Yeah.
So that's my stance on it. What do you think, Eddie?
So I would have to incline to agree with you just because of what I keep reading from articles, especially the one that says that the Latino vote does not even know who to vote for, Democrat or Republican.
Let's get over this more.
Democrat or Republican, just because neither really appeals to them. Mm-hmm. We saw the stat that says that about 25% feel that Republicans appeal to them, where they're doing a good job, as opposed to the Democrat 45%. But 1/3 of all that whole poll shows that they're not really talking to us. They're not really talking to us. They're just either giving me the same punchline, and they don't do anything 4-8 years from now, and we're still stuck here. And it's one of my biggest criticisms that I've talked to you on MM Talk is, for me, Republicans do not know how to deliver a message to the Latino community. They always...
Yeah, that's always been our discussion.
I just don't... And so for me, what I was talking about, for me, the Republican platform is a reactionary platform. And what I mean that is, they will oppose everything the Democrats are trying to do. If they want DACA, the Republicans will tell you why DACA is not good. If they don't want this, they'll tell you why that's not bad. But what is your offering? How do you make the Latino community better? Is immigration even the biggest issue? According to these polls, it's not. It's like the third or fourth largest issue. It's below healthcare, education, taxes.
Yeah.
So and I'm like, the Democrats keep pandering to immigration like that's the only thing that affects the Latino community.
What we're trying to say is that Latino communities are not a single block or single issue voters.
We have single block. Yeah.
Latinos don't just vote, or they no longer vote that way. Maybe they did in the past, but they no longer vote on the sole issue of immigration. Whether or not immigration is good or immigration policies are great, Latinos no longer vote on that single issue.
Right. So when you look at all that, I'm like, so who do they believe? And I'm like, one is telling you that, you get free healthcare and you come here, you get free education. And
I sent you that tweet, right? I sent you a tweet from the Voto Latino.
No, you did not.
I thought I texted to you. I'm looking for a tweet, and it clearly spells out. I mean, we've been saying it here on MM Talk that the Democratic platform are giving just scripted speeches and promises that aren't attracting Latinos. And Voto Latino, which is an organization that helps Latinos register to vote and try to get out the vote in the community, wrote a tweet and I had it here, and I was going to share it to you guys today, but I can't find it. I got it. You have it?
Yeah, it says.
Can you read it first,
yeah,
please?
You got
it. Have it
there? To every candidate out there, we can't stress this enough. Be specific. Some of y'all reciting some of the canned answers we heard millions of times and cannot connect the dots when it comes to issues of black and brown folks. Do you even care about us? Hashtag Democratic debate. This is what I just said. When you look at the debate questions, it's always on immigration. It's like the only topic they talk about is immigration. And then when it's Democrats, they always want to create the image that there's no difference between an illegal immigrant and a legal immigrant. Mm-hmm. Okay? Somehow, and then that is followed by, well, when we try to enforce our immigration laws, we're now viewed as racist. Right?
And anti-Latino. And anti-Hispanic.
And anti-Hispanic and all that. And we don't want you here. And xenophobic. And then that's followed by, well, next question. Yeah, and that's where the debate ends. And I'm like, okay, what about our families? What about our education? What about our views on abortion? What about our views on taxes? What about our views on any of the major issues? We're never asked that. Mm-hmm. Because the Democrats and the media
and
Univision,
which is the largest
thing that
Latinos
we vote as a voting bloc, and the only issue that matters to us is immigration.
Yeah, because I watch Univision not because I want to, because I'm trying to see what they're portraying, what they're presenting out there to a Latino community, and the news, the headlines for a long time since Trump became president has always been on the issue of immigration. Mm-hmm. They've done reports on immigration. They've done investigations on immigration. Mm-hmm. They've done about what's going on in immigration, what the new rules of immigration, what's going on in immigration, what's going this in immigration. This immigration, that immigration, this immigration, that immigration, this immigration, that immigration, this. Over and over and over. That's what you see in the nightly news on Univision, right? But yet, they didn't go into depth on the gas tax. Or what does it mean to raise the taxes in their own communities for school board bond? Or what does it mean to have a bond for school? Or they didn't go into reports and analysis of what is the cost of a bond in LA, for a school district, which was voted down. They don't go into debt to proper education, on taxes, on work, on education. They touch it on a surface level, but they don't put a lot of focus on it as they do on immigration issues. Yeah. So what's happening, or what we see happening here in MM Talk, is that the mass media and the Democratic Party is trying to just enclose Latinos as an immigration only issue. Yeah. And they're portraying everything that, they don't want you here in this country, they don't like you, they disrespect you, they want you out because you're Latino and you're an immigrant, so they hate you. So it's a fear-mongering tactic, right? Like Eddie said, they're not distinguishing between legal immigration and undocumented. For the DACA students, it's not their fault. It really isn't their fault. They're kids, right? Should we make rules and laws regarding that? Yes, we should. And we here in MM Talk have said, make it into law. Yeah. Make a law governing that part. It's so now you have these first-generation Latinos. Who they themselves are being brainwashed, if I can say in any better words, by the media and Democrats, that the only issue they should care about as first generation Latinos is immigration. When they themselves have to go to work, when they themselves have to pay taxes, when they themselves have to provide or have to buy medicine or go to doctor for checkups and so on and so forth. But they don't tell them about that stuff, right? Yeah. But they do talk about their immigration status.
Yeah, and it's
which is kind of like
it's right. It's not even. It's like, is that like, why don't ask us, or why don't ask the candidates? Well, among Latinos, 50% don't disapprove of socialist policies, or they don't know that. Where's that questionnaire? Where's the questionnaire that why do Latinos oppose higher taxes? Do they oppose higher taxes? Do any of you do you know out of the top of your head? I would have to research because I don't even know at the top of my head.
Because we don't ask that question in the community.
Ask those questions, in the community.
We don't even know. I don't even think the Latino community is even informed of how much they're paying. They know that they're paying a lot. They know that they're struggling, and there's been articles. I think it was a Washington Journal. No, the LA Times. I think we saw the other day, where they was talking about how Latinos are the worst off in Democratic controlled areas by Democratic policies.
Yeah, it was in LA Times.
LA Times, the most liberal newspaper, says that Latinos suffer the most under democratic liberal policies. They're the bottom of the totem pole, right? But yet they go out and grandize themselves as the fighters of Latinos because all we care about is immigration. Right. But if they were to talk about, oh, we're gonna raise your taxes. Oh, you know what? That house you could afford for about $1,000. We're gonna raise up taxes where now it's unaffordable, and you have to foreclose on your home and move out. Or the gas you put in your car to go to work every day and take your kids to school. We're gonna raise it up, and now you're gonna pay $5 a gallon just to take your kid to a soccer game, right? And Latinos feel the struggle, but we don't come out and talk about it. Why? Yeah. Because we're said to believe that the only thing we need to care about is immigration. And unfortunately,
two things actually: immigration and that Donald Trump or Republicans are racist. That's literally what, and that's just the media in general what they're trying to tell
the Democratic Party, right?
But when you have, my thing is, what I fear is when you have the largest voting, potentially the largest voting bloc going to the polls, they're going ill-informed. Mm-hmm. They're not knowing what they're voting for. They're not, like, you see questions like, I mean, half of those ballot questions, like, what is Prop 8? What is Prop 6? I mean, I bet 90% of us probably did not read the whole ballot when we got it, right?
And we speak English.
And we're like, yes, no. But when you also have the conversations, when you ask somebody, hey, what do you think about this? I don't know. I thought we just talked about immigration. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, first of all, what is your view on the taxes you want? What is your view on free mental health care for all? What is your view on socialized medicine? What is your all this stuff? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just know about immigration.
Or somebody say yes, we need Medicare. I need health insurance. Yes, we all need health insurance, and we all want health insurance, right? How to go about it? We differ a whole lot, yes. Right? So there's an article that we read, and Eddie has it here on his phone, and the article talks about, and it's in Spanish, and it's from Univision. We'll put the link below. Hopefully you can read it. And it says, I'm translating it roughly. It says, while the Democrats are playing, Trump will continue to concentrate his efforts towards Hispanic workers. Mm-hmm. So let me read that title again. While Democrats are playing, and we just read a tweet where Voto Latino is like, okay, guys, come on. Are you guys taking it seriously or not? The article's headline says, Trump will continue to concentrate his efforts on working Hispanics.
Yeah, and this article's from Univision, by the way. It's not like it's The Hill or Daily Wire or the conservative pages. No, it's from Univision, yeah.
And in Spanish.
And she was, so the article's written by Mercedes Schlapp. She was the director of strategic communications in the White House for the administration and is a member of the 2020 campaign. So that's so it's an op-ed piece. Yeah, it's an op-ed piece, but it's funny because it points out to what we're talking about. It literally points out what we're talking about. And she says, and quote, the Democratic presidential candidates use calculated phrases and use calculated phrases in Spanish to attract the Latin vote. Behind the curtain, the Democrats, you will find radical and socialist policies that affect not only the United States but the Latin community as a whole. Okay,
so that's a lot in one sentence.
Yeah.
So if you guys are familiar, what's going on in Latin America? A lot of things are going on in Latin America. The reason why things are so expensive is socialism, socialistic policies. Socialist policies and socialist countries have caused a lot of Latino American people leave their countries and come to the United States. So if the socialist policies have failed in Latin America, the same countries these immigrants fled from, poverty, lack of jobs, lack of security, and so on and so forth, they fled those countries because of socialist policies. That doesn't mean that the whole country is socialistic or a socialist, but subsidizing this, subsidizing that, or was it the government takes over nationalizing private industry? That's socialistic policies. So they flee these countries for those reasons, right? And now the Democratic Party, they're talking about
implementing those same policies here.
Thank you. Implementing those same policies here. And what does the article say about that?
So he's saying that, and that's what President Trump is actually trying to understand. He's trying to understand that for Latinos is like, we understand your backstory. We understand that you're working 12 hours a day. You're working 3 jobs. You want more money in your pocket. We get all that. That's why they launched the whole thing of Latinos for Trump, because Trump's going to say, I need to keep my promises, but I need to basically direct that message so these people understand that I also understand that. Unlike the Democrats, right, who are just saying, well, look, just immigration, free healthcare, free this, but we'll raise taxes. And Trump, what this op-ed is saying, that no, Trump understands that we are Latinos, we like our money. Okay, there's things in our culture that we don't like. We oppose infanticide. We oppose
abortion.
Well, abortion, right? We oppose abortion. We oppose high taxes. We're entrepreneurs. We are working class people. We're hard, right?
And they want they like the private medicine.
Yeah, we like our private insurance. And then it says there's a bigger problem with Democrats too. That this whole thing about impeachment, right? And it's saying that is not allowing them to do things that they're supposed to be promising that they're going to promise to do to help the Latino community. Has there been an update on DACA? Mm-mm. Has there been an update on immigration reform? Mm-mm. Has there been an update on anything?
Nope. Nope. The whole focus has been on Russia conspiracy.
So he says. So the article overall points out that as long as the Democrats keep playing that, he's going to vote to what appeals Latinos. And that's that hard work and the hopes to achieve the American dream. That's where, even I said, that's why I started supporting Trump. Because I can say, you know what? Yeah, his delivery may need improvement, but the man is speaking the truth. The man is speaking
a lot of improvement.
Okay,
major improvement.
The man is speaking the truth. We're hard. I just believe that we work too hard as Latinos. We work too hard to come back almost with empty pockets on failed programs that we have discussed here in MM Talk will not work.
Not only false promises, but also the illusion of creating wealth and that falsehood that it's never going to happen, right? Latinos are the most conservative people. Not so much in the terms of like we don't accept anything, but conservative in the sense of family. We always talk about family. If you look at Latino commercials, it's always around family. Okay? Always around family. It either be the grandma, the mom, or, sooner or later they're probably going to bring same gender parents in the picture. But for now, it's always around family, right? So when it comes to working, we always believe hard workers. Even in the street, selling flowers or oranges, workers.
Yeah, and it points out an even interesting stat that of the 6.3 million jobs that have been created under the Trump administration, Latinos make up 1/3 of that.
Wow.
So 2.4 million jobs have benefited our community. This is the stuff that makes me say I support President Trump. Like I said, I'm all for true immigration reform, not the whole argument. Well, he's racist because he's just won't put people in the border. Well, that's what the powers that are be have given him to do. You want real change, you know who to contact. I'm not going to go through this argument again. Mm-hmm. But that right there, hardworking people taking into notice our core values, putting money in our pocket, achieving the American dream. If you're an immigrant, making our kids' lives better. The Democrats are selling you fake dreams that they're never going to achieve. And here you have a president that's actually taking into account, and it's obvious that the community is actually benefiting from it. But, if you want to stick to Univision and false statements, then be my guest.
So, yeah, there are some policies of the Democratic that are cool, that are good. Not too bad, not too shabby. But overall, it's too wishy-washy.
Too extreme.
There's some policies in the conservative camp that are too strict and too cold, but at the same time, it's beneficial, right? Mm-hmm. But even in investment, even in people who talk to you about money and finances, they always talk about a conservative number of things to do, right? The way to earn money is conservatively earn money, not by giving handouts, not by waiting on someone to give you something for free and without expecting something in return. You might get free healthcare, but you know what? You're going to get an increase in taxes. You might want free schooling, but your parents are going to get an increase in taxes, right? You want free schooling, your parents are going to pay it, not maybe directly through school, but through taxes. right? So there's always a back end, the back door end, right? So the Democratic debates, and like Voto Latino says, it's just regurgitated, same talking points, same speeches, but nothing of substance. No real solutions to the problems.
Right.
And it's just going around in a circle, right? And this article is just telling that Latinos want healthcare, want secure jobs, everything Eddie said we want as Latinos. So who's gonna win the Latino vote in 2020? We don't know. From right now, what we can say is we're probably looking at Democrats.
Democrats, yeah.
Only why? Because they're using the whole immigration rhetoric and immigration talking points and racism and they hate you rhetoric, that they're more likely to get that vote to some degree. But if the Latino community start looking beyond those talking points and actually look at what each policy proposal brings to the table and how they're going to be benefited positively or negatively, I think they're more likely to vote more conservative. But that message is something that we need to work on.
We need to work on, and I believe as of right now, that's a good start by this administration. You know, I don't know how effective it's going to be, but I believe that's the kind of thing that, like, what is this, voto al victory? What's the
voto al victory?
Voto al victory. Oh, vamos a victory or something like that, right? Voto al victory.
Vamos to victory. Yeah,
vamos to victory. That's a great campaign slogan. Vamos to victory. Let's go to victory. But it's a way. What the administration is doing, and according to this piece, is taking a look at what we like. But we'll see how it goes, like Jaime Ponza, in 2020. What do you guys think? Who not only who will win the Democratic vote, but do you see this as possibly a challenge to the to Democrats in general? Are Latinos going to back off and really start looking at the issues as they are, and hopefully that will swing their vote? Will Latinos go more independent?
That's a good point.
That's a good, and if Latinos go more independent, then how will that vote swing? Things you gotta pander on. So let me know what you guys think. Leave those comments below. We'll wrap up here.
Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Like we say, please leave your comments. Give us your feedback. What do you think? What you agree? What you don't agree with? And what else we can improve onto this channel. Like we said, we are your co-host Jaime Moreno
and Eddie Marmolejo.
And remember, we're tired of it too.